What's up, Internet? You're tuning in episode 122 of Nintendo Noise, Flip Screen Games' weekly Nintendo podcast. I'm your host, Pete and Bessie, joined as always by my very good friend and co-host, Miss Sierra Plus Ultra.
Hi.
Hello, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We did it. We made it.
We made it,
Yeah.
gang. 2024. This is our year, everybody.
Yeah, already the longest year of my life.
Good
What
thing
a
you will have
time.
a totally chill rest of your January planned, right?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's when I think of your life, those are the words that come to mind for me is totally chill, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yes, exactly. That is yeah. I'm just cruising in a I'm lounging in a hammock under the sun. That is just my
That's
mind at all times.
that's my default lifestyle.
How are you,
Well,
Pete? How
I'm
is
doing pretty good. Yeah, I'm excited to be back here with you. We didn't get a chance to do Nintendo Noise last week, so this is our first one of the year. So
Yeah.
welcome back, everybody. Hope you guys got a chance to check out our end of the year special. The last episode where we played our first ever game of Name That Nintendo Noise was a really fun one to put together. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope that you check out some of the other end of the year stuff that we've done if you haven't already. If you're only listening to Nintendo Noise, make sure you go check out our Flip Screen Games annual number 2, which is our end of the year episode for that show where we had another major game show event. And, Sierra and Chewy and everybody were over on that one. It was a great time. And then, of course, we have our Game of the Year episode out right now, too. So if we had done the show last week, I would have reminded you that all those things existed. So if you didn't get to them, make sure you go check them out because we had some good content for you in the lead up to the end of the year. But
Mhm.
speaking of the end of the year, Sierra, I'm interested, before we get into our main topic today, which is you and I are going to review Pokemon Concierge,
Yes.
the newest Pokemon series over on Netflix, the stop motion series that was announced, mid last year, I guess.
Yeah.
Finally here. We watched the whole thing. Spoiler alert. I liked it a lot. I'm excited to talk about it.
Mhm.
And yeah, we're going to get to that in a second. But before we do that, I want to hear how was your holidays? Any fun Nintendo gifts? Any cool Christmas stuff you want to highlight?
Oh, yeah. Holidays were awesome. It was just me and my family, immediate family, the 5 of us, like, just a super chill Christmas. Like, we queued up some '80s music on Christmas Eve and
Beautiful.
drank, and then, like, the next day, we just lounged, we opened presents, and we just, like, hung out. So for Christmas, I didn't ask for a lot. I asked for socks. I am constantly losing socks. Anyone who knows me, like, and sees me regularly in person knows I never wear matching socks. I always wear clean socks. I can't find the matching pair. I have no time for this. So,
You're just leaving them out in the wilderness.
yeah, I don't know where they go. I don't know. But, besides socks and, like, beauty stuff, I did ask for a couple gamer gifts.
What'd you get?
So, one of them, I asked for Super Mario RPG.
Beautiful.
Yeah, 'cause I had meant to buy that game, but it was coming up on the end of the year, and, like, I'm like, I do not have the resources to expend on another video game." And I think it was only, like, what, $40? Was it 40 or was the full 60?
I think it was full price at launch, but maybe there was a
Maybe
sale.
it's gone down. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen it go for a couple different price points. Anyhow, I just couldn't justify the budget to buy it, so I put it on my Christmas list. And I also got this beautiful book, a
So
handheld
jealous.
history, and it's, like, that book that has, like, Bob Wolf in it and a bunch of gaming, folks, yeah, Pete, you gotta get this. You have to get this book. I really have barely, like, scraped the tip of the iceberg, but, like, it's so pretty, like, look at
Yeah.
like, I'm
It's so
crying, like,
cool. It's like
it's
a whole, it's like an art book, but then there's also, like, personal essays and stuff in it, right? And it's
exactly, and
yeah.
it's just super, oh my god, like, this is so substantial.
It's, like,
It
such
is
a dream of mine to put
crazy.
a book like that together one day.
Yeah, like, all of the fucking the art spreads and stuff, like, all the
It's like every, iteration of each handheld, right? Like, you were just that was, like, all the
yeah.
different, like, 2DS and 3DS, models, right?
Yes, like, man, you really feel something flipping through these pages and just, like, it's so nostalgic, like, seeing
Hell yeah.
The retro console, the 2DS, like in the
Oh
DS
my
one.
god, yeah. Yeah, we're
Ugh,
old now. The now retro 2DS.
hate it. Yeah, they got Switch in here, and like I said, I've barely really had a chance to dive in, sadly. But yeah, like I knew this was made with love. I could tell from like the way people were talking it up. But it really is an incredible book. I could not says the person who's barely read it. But I'm just saying, y'all, like get this book because like if you are really passionate about that stuff and nostalgic for gaming history, um, I'm gonna take my time with this. I'm gonna read
Yeah,
it
enjoy it.
before bed and just yeah, God,
I'm
it's just
excited
so
to
sick.
hear more about it. Like, I really wanted to get my hands on it, since it was like I think it was on Kickstarter originally or something like that. I
Yes,
remember,
I
yeah,
remember that too.
I
Yeah.
I, I remember like kind of following it along as it was getting put together, and yeah, it's definitely right up my alley. It's funny because I've actually the last like week or so been getting back into a couple books about games because I noticed that Spotify added a ebook section and they have a bunch of
What?
yeah, they have a bunch of ebooks for premium users that are that like range pretty far in their subject matter, but they have a couple of my like go-to recommendations for books about games that are there as audiobooks. Like they've got Console Wars by Blake Harris, they've got
Oh,
Blood, Sweat, and Pixels by Jason Schreier. I'm actually listening to Console Wars again right now. I read it. I guess I listened to it originally. I listened to the audiobook back when I was in college, and I really enjoyed it. And I haven't listened to it since. So I've like 5 or 6 chapters into it again now. So yeah, I'm like very on the like books about video games train again right now. So maybe
ooh,
I'll have to pick up a copy of that too.
that
But yeah, a little
rules.
PSA for everybody. Steve and I have talked a lot about how good Blood, Sweat, and Pixels is. It's a fantastic book, and I think, particularly if you are like a fan of like indie games or cozy games, like the chapter about Stardew Valley is one you should definitely listen to. Each one's like an hour, so it's like you could very easily get
Oh,
through it.
yeah, it's
Um,
easy.
but yeah, the story of like the creation of Stardew Valley is like just so interesting, and it's a really good deep dive on it. So
Mhm.
definitely recommend that one for sure.
Yeah, I'm into that.
That's a good haul. That's two very
Right?
solid gamer gifts. I'm
Yeah, I
into
don't know
it.
about anybody else, but, like, when I want something, I just buy it. For example, on
Yeah,
Christmas Day, I was like, "Hmm, I didn't put a sword on my Christmas list."
I'm gonna
And then
buy.
I went on the internet and bought one.
And here's I want to be clear. I want to before I say anything, I want to be clear that this is not a judgment, but I think it's very funny. They're like, yeah, I just couldn't swing that copy of Super Mario RPG, but like Christmas Day, I'm just clicking buy on a sword. You got your priorities straight, my friend.
I think that's exactly what it is. Yeah, maybe I just didn't I'm not gonna lie, y'all, maybe I just didn't want RPG that bad, I'm sorry. I It
Not
looks
as much as you
wonderful.
wanted to become a sword girl, which I get. That's
Yes.
fair.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been like talking about starting a sword collection for years, right? It's been on my mind. One of my very close friends, I brought it up to him recently. He's like, dude, I also have been wanting to start a sword collection. I was like, should we go shopping for swords, buddy? Let's do
Yes.
this. As soon as I saw you post it, I was like, Google it. I'm like, what's a good website to buy swords on? So
Whole gang is out this year, we're buying swords.
this is the sword year. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm in, I'm redoing my basement, right? I got some time off coming up. I'm gonna finally finish my office space again for the third time now, between it being a band practice space and then floods and then more practice. And I'm like, I need some wall decor. We need some swords in the background,
Right.
I think, you
Yes.
know?
Exactly. Right, so you can hang it on the wall, they don't take up space. They're
Exactly.
very elegant.
But if people need to get chopped, I got, swing, like it's right there. It's
Exactly.
great.
Just be wary that, like, I bought a replica,
Mhm.
and I didn't realize that they purposely make them less sharp.
Yeah.
So if you want an like, really do your research, because I just kinda I found I was just looking for, like, okay, good starter sword, like, let me get something familiar. So I got Tenjiro Kamato's, Nichiren sword. He's from Demon Slayer. So he started with that, and I was like, "Oh, maybe it'll be sharp. Like, it should be sharp, right? Even if it's fake." But nah, it's really not that sharp at all. If you
For
I mean,
costume, you know?
for costume, and but the thing is, it's funny that they made it blunt because, like, you can't bring actual swords into cons. Um
You can in some it depends on
Ah!
what. Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
like Comic-Con, for example, will let you bring in a weapon,
Okay.
if it's dull, but also, like, there has to be certain criteria, like, they've gotten more strict about it,
Alright.
like, post-COVID and stuff, but, um,
Understandable.
yeah, like, you can definitely, at the right convention, you can have a dull blade,
Yay,
as
okay.
part of a costume, no problem.
Alright. Good to know. I just read and have heard that, like, if you wanna cosplay with a weapon, it has to be foam, so
I think generally you're better off not bringing it because if you get the security guard who's like, nah, then it's like,
yeah,
okay,
it's a
now
wrap.
what? Yeah, then it's like I gotta get a fucking locker or some shit for my sword, which is like a
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
thing.
that'll fit.
Like I had that happen to a friend of mine once where like he would cosplay as Hawkeye from the Avengers and he had a bow and
Right.
arrow and they're like you can't bring that inside and it's like what do you mean I can't bring it inside I don't have any arrows and like one time it's like he never had a problem one guy was like absolutely not you're gonna have to leave it here and get a ticket whatever and come back and get a locker
Wow.
okay but like
So right.
literally the next day he walked in with it again no problem so it's like I don't know
Just depends on the
mileage
security
may vary.
person. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
But I know that they always have people selling swords at cons. So it's like,
Oh, that's allowed.
yeah, right? It's like it's not like nobody has one, right? Like
Right. Alright, so the hack is you go there swordless. You
and
buy
then you
the
buy
sword.
it, carry it around.
Yes,
Unwrap it.
exactly.
All right, well there you go. So yeah, make sure you tune in later this year, 2024, for Pete and Sierra's Sword podcast. We're gonna
Yep,
teach you all about swords and where to buy them. So get
exactly,
your
and it
Patreon dollars hard at work, everybody.
yeah.
All right, you ready to talk some Pokemon Concierge?
Yes. Oh, hell yeah.
Because I am. I got to check it out, I guess this past week? That sounds right. And, yeah, I mean, not to bury the lead, I think it's exceptional.
Yes.
Gorgeous. Like, what's the name of the studio again? It's,
I don't remember.
Dwarf Studios. And I know that, like, they've
Okay.
done a couple other, like, projects like this in the past. They're kinda like, they've got, what's the word I'm looking for? Like they did like a Domo thing years ago, and so they've got
Oh,
like
wow.
a legacy of doing like high quality stop motion. But
Mhm.
I mean, I think this is among the best pieces of stop motion that I've seen, and I definitely recognize that like my bias towards loving Pokemon and being like very into seeing them represented in that way, like, probably plays a factor, but I couldn't get over how absolutely adorable it was, you
I
know?
was crying every 2 minutes.
Oh
It
my
was
god.
disgusting.
Which episode was it? There was one that I was like it really, really got me, and I was fucking crying. I think it was the end of the second one, maybe. It was
Yeah.
the one with the kid with the Pikachu.
Oh, yeah, that one was really good, the last one.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
yeah, that was the one. Yeah, that really, really got me. Yeah, it's just like it's very, very wholesome, and in a way that, like, doesn't feel, like, cloying, like, it doesn't feel like it's,
Yes.
what's the word? Like, saccharine, I think is the like, overly sweet. It's not, like, giving me a cavity with how
Yeah,
sugary it is, but it has that softness and that, like, calm energy to it because it's just such a, like it's very low stakes, you know?
right. Um, I did not expect to love it as much as I did, and one of the reasons why I love it so much is because, um, I've I don't remember the last time, or if ever, I've seen Pokemon animated in this way. So they're not
Oh,
just moving as they do or would in the games or in the shows, but, like, you saw me post it to, like, my Instagram story. Like, it's like just like an idle, like, Psyduck is sitting at a fire like a fire pit,
Yeah.
and he's wiggling his feet
His
like
little
this.
toes.
Oh, and, like, they're just, like, doing like, their mannerisms, make them feel, like, really, like, grounded and real and, like, conveyed in a way that, like, hasn't been before, I don't think, like, they're just little guys, like, literally, and they're not only, like, acting like the Pokemon they are, but, like, as if they have, like, personalities,
Very individual personalities. Yeah.
and, like, there was, like they kinda did that a little bit in the anime, like, you can see that background action happening in, like, Sun and Moon and onwards, but, like and if anyone has seen it in, like, any of the earlier anime, let me know, but, like, I don't know, like, just the way that they did it in Pokemon Concierge, um, I it really endeared me to the world that they were building. Just, like, the way they interacted with each other, like, their little mannerisms and, like, the way they interacted with the environment. Um, it was just so awesome to see him in that setting.
There's like, I don't know, there's something about that style and like how tangible it is, right? Like it just like it does lend itself to a sense of like realness, even though
Yeah.
it feels like toys, like it's very strange, but
Yeah.
I remember like little moments with like where like Haru sits down for tea, right? And it's like the cup, like you can see that the cup is a real object and not a drawing, right? And it's
Yeah.
like there's something about that where like Pokemon is never, to your point, like been presented in a style like that that has that kind of like, I don't know, like that like real world feel to it almost because some of the
Yeah.
sets feel like real objects rather
Oh, yeah.
than, you know what I mean? Like
No,
there's a depth
absolutely.
to it that is I think there's a reason that, people connect with this style, like it has a quality that feels very alive, right? Even though
Yes,
it's so
exactly.
clearly cartoony.
Yeah. I'm not gonna and, like, that was my original disdain against the series at first because I was like, "We don't" like, I didn't think we needed stop motion. I'm like, I could not and this was very close-minded of me, and I admit that. I really didn't see how stop motion could complement the world of Pokemon, but that's so ridiculous to say now because like, I saw it. We all saw it. Like, I'm really impressed by how the studio and drew, like, the backgrounds and stuff, like, a lot of and, like, the lighting was so impressive,
Yeah.
um, just so lifelike and accurate, like, the way that, like, the sun rose in the morning and hit the trees, that vibrancy was crazy, like, like, crying over how cute the Pokemon are one moment, and then, like, in awe of the environments the next, and the textures, like
I also
yeah,
really like how it's something that like it's a multifaceted thought, I guess, right? Which is something I like about this series a lot is I've always wanted them to have more content that explored the world of Pokemon outside of battling and like what do other people do? How do they live? How do they interact with Pokemon? How do Pokemon interact with the world? Yada yada. And like that on its face is already like a cool implementation in this show because it is very different and it's totally different like pace than what you're used to. Um, but also, like, I like how they leveraged the world of Pokemon through things like textiles and, like, little,
yeah,
like, items in the world that, like, you don't not that you never see, but, like, it's just not usually the focus, right? Like, it's like in the video games, right? Like, you usually have it's like a lo-fi style because, like, they're not spending money on graphics, right? Like,
yeah,
that. So it's you're not necessarily getting oh, like, look at the wallpaper in this house that I'm in, and it's like this cool pattern with Pokemon in it. But in this world, like that is they're trying to make it feel like this luxury hotel, right? And it's like it is like the shirts that they wear that have those prints that look like I forget the name of the company, Results or something like that, but they were selling those like Pokemon print shirts that are super hot and they're just like
yeah,
cool design prints. And it's like you like that. It's oh, this is what a like stereotypical button up, floral like I'm at a resort shirt would look like in the world of Pokemon, right? Or like, oh, there's a scene where Haru's sitting with Psyduck like outside of I think maybe her room or whatever, and there's like a little garden and the watering can is like a horsey head. And it's just
Mhm.
like these little things. I'm like, oh, that's so cute. And like there's such a attention to detail and thought about like realizing the world. And it reminds me of what I thought was so good about like the opening, whatever, 10 minutes of Detective Pikachu, right? Which is like the whole movie's cute or whatever. But the thing I was the most jazzed about is just the panoramic shots through a city where there's just people living with Pokemon, and like
Right.
this because there isn't really a major plot in this show. It's just kind of these cute little like slice of life, like monster of the week format, but the monster is just a silly little problem. And
Yeah.
it lets you focus on shit like that. It lets you take time to slow down and be like, here's an extended shot of these Pokemon like playing together, right? Or like
Yeah.
they're on the beach, or like, there's like that scene where she's talking to the boss, and then like I forget their names, the lower evolution.
Pansear, Pansage, and
Thank you.
Panpour,
And
where they
they're
fall out of the ceiling.
yeah,
Are
they're
you
like playing a
oh my
prank on her, It's like
yeah.
it's so cute. And it's just like it's just these little moments that like allow for just like personality and like, just the quality of the animation, right? But you know what I mean? Um to carry itself, right? And it's not overly involved in like plot or dialogue, or like it's just like it's very experiential, but in
Yeah.
a super, super good way, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I honestly, my
Um,
only gripe was I just wish there was a little more of it, It was only 4 episodes. The first 3 are like 10
yeah.
minutes and the last one's 20. It's like
Yeah.
I
I
almost feel like you coulda just made it a movie and made it 15 minutes longer.
yeah, maybe they, like hmm.
Less is
Yeah,
more,
yeah.
Leave them wanting more is a good philosophy to have,
Yeah,
but
and maybe they were just kinda like maybe that was how it was envisioned, like, they couldn't make sense of it as, like, one singular plot,
yeah.
and it seemed to make more sense to them to do individual Monster of the Week episodes. I thought that worked really well. Before I'm surprised that it wasn't 6. I'm so used to, like, the 6-episode format with Netflix, like, 6 to 12 or whatever.
Yeah. I
Um,
I I would've loved that, like, and I don't think it's one of those things where it's lesser because it doesn't have more, but it's like, this
totally.
was so good that I
Yeah.
feel like if you had had the bandwidth to come up with 2 more 10-minute, like, "Oh, on this episode, they meet this Pokemon and they have a problem." It's like, yeah, I'd watch a dozen of
Yeah,
those,
yeah, me
they were
too.
really good.
Mhm. Maybe they pumped all the budget into making everything look so fucking crisp.
And I mean maybe the thought process there is, like, you put this out and like it's a proof of concept, and if people like it and respond to it, you double down and do something longer, and even if it's
Yeah,
not more of this, it's like let's let the same studio do another project or whatever, right? Like
right.
I'd be into that.
Yeah,
But I mean, I hope that this sends a message to the Pokemon company of like being more experimental with the style, and not always having to have the house style that's been developed.
totally. And also just doing more, like, world immersion stuff with Pokemon. Like, so we've gotten Detective Pikachu, now this, just spin-offs of, like, the Pokemon universe that don't involve battling mainly. So, I'd like to see what else they do with this.
We've got some more thoughts on Pokemon Concierge to get into in just a minute here. But before we do that, let me remind you that this episode of Nintendo Noise is brought to you by our Patreon producers for the month of January. They are, of course, Arnold J. Rimmer, Christopher Valenz, Earth Visitor, Gabriel Hasselmeyer, aka Sobe, Snackago, Steve Stompy, Susan Likes Cats, and also Boobies, Ty the Dude, and Wakahula. Thank you all so much for your support over on patreon.com/flipscreengames. Y'all the realest of the real, and we greatly appreciate your support of this and all of our sister shows. Remember, if you want to go above and beyond just like they did to get the show early and show your support, you can head over to flipscreen.games where you will find links to all the places you can get involved all over the web, including our Patreon, where you can get all those cool perks and goodies. But if you don't have any money to toss our way, there's a lot of ways you can get involved in the community. You can write into the show for the question block segment, come and join our Discord to keep the conversation rolling between episodes. However you choose to get involved, we thank you for joining us for another episode of Nintendo.
Yeah.
I feel like there's no limit. You know, it's like I think when you I think a key part of the success of Pokemon, right, is that like it's a pretty non-gendered thing. You know, it's like I think like
Yeah.
it's super easy for you to like figure out like what fucked up little guy is the fucked up little guy that you like and being like, I'm gonna roll with this. And like the fact that they are not better at realizing that, oh wow, like this is really a thing that can appeal to anybody, right? Whatever your and like maybe gender is even like too narrow of a scope for me to throw out there, but like obviously across age demographics and everything, right, as well. Um they should be better at leveraging that in multimedia, in these other platforms of like, you're really telling me that the only stories you can think of to tell in this world are the ones that follow the exact same format as the game, like, and then
Yeah.
the movies, right? But like those are just it's a big, you know, blockbuster anime type adventure, right? A crazy powerful Pokemon shows up and he clones a bunch of Pokemon. Okay, a legendary Pokemon shows up and the world's gonna end, right? Okay, it's like okay,
Yeah.
time travel, right? It's like it's always like very like the world's on fire and Ash and Pikachu are gonna save it. Okay, great.
Yeah,
Nothing
I
wrong with
think
that, but
yeah,
this
for
is
sure.
so different and like there's so much you could do with that, right? You could easily have a show that's about Pokemon Rangers or breeder, like just all these different
I
segments
know.
of the world, right? That like you could tell a Western story in the world of Pokemon, right? Like, and just
Yeah.
have it be like a bad, you know, it's Team Rocket equivalent, Old West gang. It's like, and that's just I'm shooting from the hip, but it's like I can't think of many genres that you couldn't just be like, okay, it's this, but the main character is a Pokemon trainer. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. I feel like them not killing, but them removing Ash and Pikachu from the I almost said killing off.
Killing them off.
Killing he's dead. Only made it to 10.
Really,
He
really eventful 11 months though
yeah.
of his 10th year.
But by doing that, that frees them up from that, like, being committed to that and developing that,
Yeah.
which, I mean, couldn't really go any further, to
Yeah.
exploring other things
I
and,
think
like,
that's fair.
hopefully doing more. Like, there's no main face, there's no main kid anymore, you know what I mean? So it could be
Something I
anybody.
really liked about this show too is that the main character is not a kid. It's like an adult who's like having
Yes!
a like
The
life crisis.
opening, my boyfriend of 6 years broke up with me, and
And
I
I hate my
oh,
job
yeah.
and I'm like, "Oh, this is like a real it's a real millennial crisis," you know?
She, like, broke her heel or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was very sweet, very scatterbrained, very relatable.
And it's like,
Um,
you know, would love more stuff like that because, like, I feel like you could easily do a story like that where it is literally somebody who's still like, "Oh, like, you could have that same character not leave that life and go work at a concierge and instead have it be like and a great this would be an insane thing to do, but you could have that same character be the lead in a romantic comedy that just takes place in the world of Pokemon. Like,
ah,
why not? Like, there are
okay,
romance manga and anime,
I
and why
yeah.
not? Like, why would that be so crazy? Like, probably not, you know?
I never knew that I needed a Pokemon rom-com until this moment.
Think about it. What's it
Holy
called? Is
shit.
there's a name for that genre of manga, right? Where it's like a dating story, like it's a romance story, but it's not like, you
Uh,
know, I don't know, whatever. I
I don't
don't know what the word
know.
is, but I'm sure that there's a word for it.
Yeah.
But I feel like you could do that, and it's just like, oh, the main character is that same exact kind of character, right? Doesn't have to be Haru, but like, and she has a Pokemon that's her best friend, and and then go from there. Like, okay, great.
Yeah.
Because
Maybe she yeah.
there was a manga in the '90s that was like a comedy manga where I don't know, I guess it's Red, right? Not Ash, but it's like that character, right? And he has like a Clefairy who like can bend reality and is like basically Jim Carrey's The Mask, but a Clefairy. It's like,
The
that's
mascot
fucking
with
weird.
Pokemon,
Like,
yeah.
that's super weird, but fine, whatever. Like, why isn't there I don't know, like the main line Pokemon anime is like very like or at least it was when I was watching it, right? Like it's very comedy centric. It's like slapsticky and it's very like we're going to teach a nice moral and then there'll be an action episode and the whole thing is filled with puns and like is very like Saturday morning cartoon like that's the energy. That's great. You should definitely have a show like that.
Mhm,
There's also legions of people who are like 30 to 40 years old that like Pokemon. Why don't you make a show that's like aimed at like this, right? Which is like not, I wouldn't say that this is aimed at kids. It's kid friendly, but I think it's, the main character is way more relatable to somebody who's 30 years old and started playing Pokemon in 1994 versus,
mhm,
the alternative. And
right,
like,
the
I think you could
kiddos.
easily make a Pokemon show or whatever that has a tone that's like a little bit more similar to something like Persona. Where it's
I
like it's a
know.
little more adult. Or like Digimon Survive was like is
Yeah.
like, that's maybe a little too intense, but you know what I mean.
Oh, I was gonna say a spoiler. Oh my god, but yeah. Yeah, just something like, I don't know, just something more adult.
Just
Like, it would be
different.
nice just and it can coexist with whatever the main anime is, like, it can be done.
Just give me miniseries like this too. Like it doesn't need to be like an ongoing thing that you're constantly struggling to merchandise or whatever, right? Like I love that
Right.
about the Pokemon Origins series that they did years ago where it was like that 4 episode series on YouTube that was just like it's the story of Red and Blue, and it's
Yeah.
like it's really good. And it's a little more intense. It's like the original manga, right? Where it's like, okay, like I probably wouldn't let a little kid read this, but like a, preteen or
Yeah.
whatever, it's totally fine, and it's
Yeah.
like you would think that they would want more stuff like this to make it so that as you age, you're aging with the brand and like that there's still stuff for you. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, I guess they haven't had to do that, and we're still buying shit and showing up for it. So
No, I
maybe we're the
know.
problem.
I know, right? Yeah, we're not challenging them enough.
I mean
Ugh,
I mean, I showed up for this. I'm like, "This was great. This is different. It's a fresh palette, and it's like I like this a lot for the same reason that I connected with Arceus, where I'm like, you're doing something fresh and different and, like, just, uh, pushing it outside the box a little bit of what you've done in the past, you know?"
yeah. Um, I feel like this was, like, a step in the right direction, like, it was definitely, like, a kid's show. It feels like I could watch it with, like, if I had, like, younger,
Totally.
like, cousins or, like, nieces or something, like, I could watch it with them. But, like, the main character is, like, hella relatable if you're, like, a young adult or, like, in your 30s, whatever. Like, you can project yourself onto that character. It's not totally, like, 10-year-old Ash Ketchum
It
exploring the world.
I feel like it toes the line in the same way that something like SpongeBob does, where it's like,
Yeah.
yes, this is a kid show, but also it's just funny and like the situations are adult enough that an adult can relate to like having a job
Yeah.
or whatever,
The
right?
panty raid.
Yeah, sure, right? That's very adult for a
You're
kid
gonna
show.
miss
But
the
it's like
panty raid.
the whole bit there, right, is that like the kid, it goes over their head, and the adult is like, "Oh my god, what?" Like, and I think it's the same thing if you were a kid watching this, you'd be like, "My boyfriend of 6 years broke up with me, and I quit my job," and they'd be like, "Oh, okay, that's just what
Yeah.
happened to her."
Yeah.
But you as like an adult are like, "Oh, okay, she's going through it," right? Like I can
Yes.
relate. So I feel like that even is a good line to toe, right? Of like, you don't need to make a fucking M-rated Pokemon thing for me as an adult, but like
Exactly.
making something that is, that just explores the spectrum a little bit more, I think is like a really good it's encouraging,
Yeah.
like this show to me is like and it could just be a flash in the pan where it's like this was an experiment and it was what it was and that's the end of it. But like, I hope not. I hope they do more
Yeah.
weird stuff like this because I like when Pokemon gets weird.
Yeah, me too. If not more new episodes of this, just like something else.
I would definitely take more of this if they have more ideas.
Yeah,
You
please.
know? Like, if they have ideas for a second season and it's just more, monster of the week stuff like that, like, I'm in. I would
Yeah.
definitely come. But, it's funny because every time they do something like this, or I'm like, "Oh, dang, like, different, bold, innovative, like, they got," but then I'm also like, "What if they did the same old thing, but in this style?" That would be interesting too, you know? It's like,
Right.
I would like to see a Pokemon battle in stop motion. That would be cool.
Oh, I know, right? But I guess they leave that stuff just to, like, the video games and, like, the anime and stuff. I
Yeah,
don't know.
whatever.
Yeah.
I'll take what I can get, frankly. I'm excited that there was a new Pokemon show, and I'm walking out of it like 10 out of 10. Everybody should watch this. Like,
Oh, yeah, I
that's a
know.
fun place to be, you know?
Yeah, I could not recommend it enough. Every single episode is great. Um, Psyduck as, like, a main partner is such a goated move. 'Cause,
Yeah,
like, and what I've appreciated in the last 5, 6 or so years that Pokemon has been doing, like, newer, like, media and stuff is, like, featuring other Pokemon as, like, the main character and giving Pikachu a little bit of a backseat. 'Cause, like, we all know, like, every Pokemon is someone's favorite Pokemon, but, like, Gengar's really been having a moment, like, now
sure.
Psyduck, like, um, Piplup? Like, there's, like, a lot I mean, obviously, everyone fucking loves the shit out of Charizard, so, like, there's just so like, it just I appreciate how, like, they're trying to put other Pokemon in the spotlight.
I think that's something that has been a benefit of them putting, like, fewer new Pokemon out,
Yeah.
where it's like,
Yeah.
"Okay, like, let's bring back some other older guys that we haven't highlighted in a while," and, like, it was cool that, I forget her name, but the younger girl who works at the place, and
Shit.
she's
I
got the
forget.
Mudkip, right? And it's like, "Oh, yeah," like, obviously he's a starter Pokemon. There was a point where you were
Yeah.
seeing Mudkip all the time. He's not getting a lot of play these days. Cool to see him come up, I
Yeah.
love Mudkip. And, like, Pansear and Panpour and, like, those are Pokemon that, like, have not been in the spotlight in a long time.
Not at all. Oh my god, not since probably X and Y.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And it's fun to see them kinda get back in the mix and have me think about them maybe in a way I hadn't before.
Yeah. You know what else is really refreshing about the show? Um And I think it's something like all of us like, another reason why, like, a lot of folks, like, I will recommend it to them. It's something I needed to see. The the overarching theme of the show seems to be, like, just fucking relax. Like, 'cause she arrives to the resort. She is this high-strung, like, a hardworking woman. She can't catch a break.
She's, like,
Super
stuck
high
in that, like,
anxiety.
corporate, like, high anxiety corporate culture
Yes.
mindset, like, she, like, makes, this insane presentation about how she relaxed on her first day, right? Like,
Yeah, and, like, her only job is to just fucking chill. Just chill dream job, to be
dreams.
honest.
Dreams, are you kidding me?
Um, yeah, and, like, the resort owner, like, Miss Watanabe is just like, "Yeah, we just want you to have fun." Like well, she still has to do, like, a job, like, she has to maintain the place and, like, greet guests and, like, do that, but, like, um
The job is basically, "Oh, yeah, make a Pokemon smile today," and it's like, "Okay, great. That sounds
yeah,
great." Like, what a vibe.
and then, what's it called? Pidgeot, like, crashes into, that tent they're painting, and, like, Haru like, it was the first or second episode, I think, and, like, all these things keep happening. Haru's like, why are y'all not freaking out?" Like, Pidgeot crashes into the thing, and she thinks that, like, that girl is gonna flip out, and she's like, "Okay, it's all good. No worries. Let's just be more careful next time." And, Haru's, like, waiting for the shoe to drop in all these
Yeah.
disastrous circumstances, and it's just like, no, it's actually not that big of a deal. And I think that's a message that many people could stand to learn from. Not either of us, but like, you know, anyone. Nothing is truly life or death. Like,
Yeah, neither of us. Yeah, Pete and I are both super chill all the time. We're
well, I
never
mean,
ever stressing.
we're like we know that like the whole fucking I don't know. I can't call it capitalistic mentality. I don't know if I could. Maybe it is. I mean, it all ties in. But like
Yeah, I
just
get what
like
you mean.
you know, like
this idea that, like, your life doesn't need to be oriented around, work in a negative way, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and, like, fear of consequence or, like, consequence being always being dire,
Being the
like
motivating factor too for, like,
yes.
exceptional work, right? Is that, like, this
Yeah.
fear of, um I mean, right, in her case, it seems like, I guess, being chastised more than anything, right? But, like,
Yes.
an embarrassment, right? But yeah, I mean, that can extend out to, survival, right, and all that other stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, I appreciated that very much.
Yeah, it's like, again, it's a very non-conventional message for a Pokemon story,
Yeah.
to be like, actually, the point of life is enjoying yourself is, like, a weird takeaway from a story in the world of Pokemon, and I
Yeah, which
don't
is, like,
in a
chase
good
your
way.
dream like, yeah, like, achieve and chase and yeah.
Right, like, yeah, actually, I didn't even think about that when you said that, but that's a really good observation, right? That, like, the entire mentality of Pokemon as a franchise, right, is, like, be the very best, climb to the top, be,
Collect catch 'em
catch
all.
them all, yeah,
Yeah.
be the baddest, biggest motherfucker, and it's like, Pokemon Concierge is very much like, "No, no, that's okay. Here's a hot towel and, a
And a
Machoke's gonna
floaty.
be and a Machoke's gonna be by to rub your shoulders in about 20 minutes with some lemon water."
Yeah. So good.
You said the floaty, I that was one of my favorite bits too, the Magikarp subplot, that was very good, and, like, getting to see the evolution and then, like, the Gyarados, like, go up the
Yeah.
waterfall, I was like, "Oh,
Yo, when Magikarp started crying, I felt that shit. Again, so many cute moments, like, oh, like,
the
I
facial acting, right, is, like, so strong, like, the pouty little Pikachu and, like, how, like, scared he was, I was like,
yes.
he looks like my cat with Lucas with his giant sad eyes, like, I was like, "Oh, I love this Pikachu."
I know, fucking giving ugh. Like, when I think of stop motion, I think of Rankin& and Bass Christmas specials, but this just gives that shit a run for its money. Like, it is like, I was worried about, like,
This is on the good level, this is, like,
this is
Nightmare Before
good shit.
Christmas, like,
Yes.
Kubo and the whatever strings, this is the good stuff.
Oh, yeah, this is that good shit. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch it again.
oh, yeah, and that's so digestible, it's like you watch it again in one sitting, easy.
Yes. Yeah, like 40 to 60 minutes,
Yeah, I think the whole
right?
thing is what? Probably 50 minutes if I think each one's 10 minutes and then the last one's 20.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's yeah, so it's 3 and 1 there. So,
yeah.
yeah, you get through the whole thing in under an hour, right? No problem.
Beautiful.
Yeah, more stuff like this, please. I know that, like, I mean, seemingly anyway, right? Netflix and the Pokemon Company have some kind of partnership there, right? Like
Yeah.
legacy stuff is there, the new stuff is gonna be airing there. They've got this now. I mean, hopefully this is the first of many, right? Like I'd love to see them partner with some more weird studios to make weird Pokemon stuff.
Yeah. Pokemon rom-com. More Pokemon in, like, different settings, please.
I sold you on the rom-com.
You sold me hard, dude. Like, that's, like, one of the only kinds of movies I like. Like
And it's like, let's like not be out here like the original Pokemon series didn't have a fantastic will they won't they set up with
oh, yeah,
Ash
yeah,
and
yeah.
Misty and then just fumbled the bag.
Oh,
Just
I
threw it
know.
away. All right, let's do it
Well,
again. Try
what's
again.
her name gave, Misty a run for her money? Serena? I
And then
forget.
Dawn too that was
Dawn, yeah.
May, Dawn, Serena, I feel like was the order.
Yeah.
Look,
Alright, we're 15 years in
listen,
the future.
I'm
Ash
old.
is an eligible bachelor. Let's see what happens. We bring all these
There's your
characters back.
movie.
Yeah,
Oh
there
my
you
god,
go.
there's your movie. Ash, like his good friend and rival Gary, has decided to retire at the ripe old age of 11, and and now he's gonna settle down. It's like what's oh man, I don't know. I was thinking of I'm thinking of a specific romantic comedy, and it's not coming to me. So I guess it'll be like a nice version of Scott Pilgrim, right? It's not the evil exes. It's just like we're gonna go through all the past romances and see which one's the real deal.
Right. I'm
The
into
answer is
that.
Misty, though. Everybody, I'm gonna spoiler it for you right now.
I
We're coming full
know.
circle. You gotta go back to your first love here. Come on.
Yeah. You know what I just realized? Does Ash get money at all
He
in the
must,
entire
right? He
series?
must.
That's not really depicted.
No, I don't feel like they show it, but I feel like it's a job to be a Pokemon trainer, right? So it's like he's getting paid. He's gotta.
Okay, it's just not I was just thinking about that, like, he
I
doesn't
think it's
is he
because they
get
don't want to depict Ash shaking people down, right? When he's winning battles, be like, all right, give me my fucking
he
money,
beats
kid.
youngster Joey and he just shakes him of his fucking lunch money.
That episode. It's like an episode in Johto where I think it's the one where Charizard leaves the group and stays at the Charizard Valley to train or whatever. And they're
Yeah.
talking about how he keeps just like getting in fights with trainers that have like a Rattata and he's like, go Charizard and just beats their fucking ass. And I'm imagining Ash just like walking through the woods, just like kicking kids over and stealing their money,
Oh,
just
yeah.
sticking out Charizard. He's like, yeah, this guy fought Entei. You got a Rattata? That's cool. Give me your money, kid.
How do the kids, like, not I'm thinking so literally, but, like, how do the kids not, like, see Ash coming their way and they're like, "I'm gonna go home.
I'm just gonna
I'm
split.
not up for this."
That's the thing. When you start a Pokemon battle, you don't know what Pokemon the other person has, which I think is an unhinged system for
I
cockfighting
know.
like this, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, like you're a Pokemon trainer, let's battle. Rattata. Okay, cool. Charizard. It's like, well, damn, if I had
I
known
know.
that there was this kind of gap between us, maybe I wouldn't have challenged you.
Was thinking of, like, in the video game where, like, the trainers are all really close together on a route, and I'm like, "Are y'all not seeing this? You're about to get fucking smacked."
Did you
Like
not just watch me
yeah.
mollywop all your friends? Like, get the hell out of here.
Ugh.
So that's I guess that's our next pitch is we need a show about a therapist in the world of Pokemon, and it's like the setup and like they come in on the long Woody Allen couch and talk about how traumatic it is to just constantly get fucking demolished by 10-year-olds coming out of Pallet Town or
Oh,
Little
yeah.
Root or whatever. Imagine how demoralizing that is. You're a grown ass adult trying to be a Pokemon trainer, and some kid rolls through and just fucking eats your lunch and steals your wallet.
Oh, yeah, the inner turmoil you must face. Yeah.
How many people were washing out of that career? That's it's like
Oh, yeah, like, what is a Pokemon trainer, like, into in that universe? Like, I guess, like, what is
Sierra.
that comparable
We
to
both know.
in this
It's being a musician. That's what it is. All right. It's every fucking whack ass Pokemon trainer from every little town thinks they're gonna
Yeah.
go to Goldenrod and be the next hot thing, and then they're not.
Yeah, basically
You
being
know,
a creative.
it's like being a SoundCloud
Or
rapper.
yeah, or like, an esports,
Sure.
uh, person, like, trying to compete and,
Yeah.
like, having to deal with, like, younger kids who have, like, younger
The reflexes are
the
still there.
reflexes, yeah, exactly. 'Cause I literally just saw, like, a week and a half ago, someone tweeting about, like, yeah, we can't deny, like, when players are really good, but also, like, we have to acknowledge that, like, younger motherfuckers are gonna come in here and wipe us just 'cause they're younger.
It's really like it is funny how few pro gamers like have longevity and like they become coaches because there is like a degrading of your skills just because,
That
your
sucks.
reaction time starts to suck. It's
Yeah.
crazy. But hey, there's like the weird exceptions, right? Because it's like I think it was it Faker or Double Lift? I think who just won like esports player of the year this year, and it's like he's old. He's been like a pro for like 10 years. It's still pro, but it's
I
like
gotta look into that.
not a
I don't
lot of
know
them.
about that.
Not a lot of them
Yeah.
playing slower games. I think too.
Yeah.
Can't be doing FPSs and clicking heads. That's a young person's
God,
game.
no. Uh-uh. Ugh.
So, any final thoughts on Concierge? I think for me, it's just like go watch it if you haven't already. It's fantastic.
No, yeah, and if you're just, like if you're someone that's, like, really into, really well done animated series and you kinda geek out on that stuff, there's a lot in it for you. Obviously, if you love Pokemon, go watch it. It's so I I am sorry that I was a hater. I am so sorry that I doubted. I'm glad that I came around. Um, totally like 11 out of 10 worth the watch. Cannot
Hey,
recommend it more.
there's nothing wrong with, with having doubts as long as you admit that you're a hater once it's good, then
Exactly.
look, I can admit I was wrong,
Exactly.
that's growth, you know?
Yes.
It's character
Yeah.
development.
Yeah.
Speaking of character development, Pokemon Concierge has some great character development. Make sure you go watch it. We really enjoyed it. If you want to write in with your thoughts on the show or what crazy animation project you'd like to see next from the Pokemon Company and Netflix at all, make sure you write into us in all the ways that we talked about earlier. You can head over to flipscreen.games. That's our website where you can write into the show. You can come join our Discord and keep the conversation rolling between episodes. Or if you want to go and get the show early and show your support, head over to Patreon. You'll find links to all that and much more over on flipscreen.games. However you choose to get involved and show your support, we thank you for tuning in to another episode of Nintendo Noise. For the crew, I've been Pete. She's been Sierra. We'll see you next week.